Good evening and welcome to episode 3 of Backwoods Investigations. I am your host Blimp, the team leader of the Southern Illinois Monsters Hunters team, and this week we take a trip to Missouri with my special guest, Mr. Steve Brookes, who tells us his encounter with the Sabine River Squatch, his theories and more. Thanks for being on the show tonight, Steve. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, Blimp.
So you've been staying afloat with all this rain, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so let's get started. Tell us your encounter with the Sabine River Squatch.
Okay. This was in July in Longview, Texas, about 3 miles outside of Longview, Texas. I was off that day from work. Got a new fishing rod and reel, and I love catfishing. And so I thought I'd go down to Sabine River and try my luck. Well, as I went down the highway, I had to go down a little ways, turn around, come back, and pull off a road that runs beside the main highway, and got off and parked. Turned my engine off, got my fishing gear out of the back, and then I proceeded towards the spot I wanted to go to. Well, I came up on this little hump in the ground, not very high. As I did, I see the backside of this figure down there, and I thought, well, somebody got my spot, so I started scanning around for another spot to do my fishing. Well, the more I looked at it at first, I thought it could have been a homeless person with a fur coat on. And so after I scoped it out and I was trying to find a new spot, I kind of focused back on. And at first I was going to speak out to what I thought was a person and ask him, how's the fishing? Are they biting and stuff like that? But the more I got to looking at it, I started saying, this guy don't have a fur coat on. This guy's covered with hair. And so, of course, naturally, he never turned his head to acknowledge me or anything. And so I kind of noticed the one leg I could see, because he was squatted, and he was very still, like he was frozen, didn't move a muscle. And so anyway, he had reddish brown hair, mostly red, and he had your broad shoulders. As far as saying what his height was, I'm going to say somewhere in between 7.5 and 8 foot by just looking and kind of looking how long his leg was and how lengthy his upper body to his head was.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore I stood there, and of course back in '75 nobody knew about Bigfoot. It wasn't publicized. Nobody talked about it. Nobody like I said, television, we only had 4, 5, 6 channels at the most.
Mm-hmm.
No cameras. I think there was a Polaroid and maybe a Kodak with the big square flash cubes that was out at that time. But no cell phones. Couldn't take pictures. Couldn't take, I wish we had the technology back then that we do today, because naturally I couldn't could have gotten some clear pictures of a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Anyhow, like I said, the more I stood there and the more I looked at it, I knew it wasn't human. I knew it wasn't a person. I mean, like if I was to walk up on you with your back turned to me, naturally, if he had clothes on, I could tell he was a person. Well, this thing didn't have clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell you whether it was male or female because like I said, its back was turned to me.
Yeah.
So, but I did hear walking up to the hump, I did hear it splashing in the water. Now, I couldn't tell you, I didn't see what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know whether he was trying to catch a fish or if he was just, like what those humans do, kind of splash water in our face or what hands or whatever. I don't know what he was doing, but I did hear some splashing of the water before I got to the hump. So, but like I said, this is in the middle of like July.
Mm-hmm.
I was in between I was going in my senior year, and I was 17 years old. And so, middle of summer, it was already 80-something degrees by the sun was coming up over the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But this was already in the morning. So, therefore, the visibility was very good at that time of morning. No fog, no haze or anything. So I could see it clearly. And to this day, I could picture him plain as day.
Stuck with you, huh?
Yeah, it stuck with me. It'll probably stick with me till I'm on my deathbed. but it's something that once you experience an encounter like this, you never forget it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the listeners out here have experienced, and there's going to be some out there that hasn't had that experience yet. All I'm going to say to y'all that you may get that experience one day, and you may not. Because if you want to see a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, it will happen when the time's right.
Yeah.
So you may, like I said, people out there may get that chance to have that experience, and some people may not. And then, like as you have been telling me, you have the opportunity to have 2 or 3 families living on your property back there.
Yeah.
So, and then I think there's several others out there that has the same similar situations.
Yeah.
So, my hat's off to y'all.
Well,
Y'all don't have to go look as far as some of those other people.
yes, of course, right where we're situated in where I'm at in Williamson County in southern Illinois, we're only 50 miles from where the Ohio and the Mississippi rivers interjoin. And the Bigfoot use these rivers as travel routes because they're easy of access and they're easy enough to get to one place to the other. Instead of having to walk all the way across, they could just swim right across.
That's true. That's why I'm thinking if this one was traveling, he was traveling the Sabine River probably looking for a spot that he can make and call home.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
Thought that I ran across a researcher in Longview, Texas, that had went out to the spot that I've been talking about, and it wasn't a clear print, but
He could see something been there.
You could tell something had stepped there.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the fact that the time of the year that it was taken, which was in early March, and it was the high of the day was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think anybody in their right mind would be out there running around barefooted by the river. So, I'm not going to say it was a big footprint, and I'm not going to say it is.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility that a descendant from the one I saw is still around there.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Like whenever if you watch the first episode, whenever I talk to Connie, she says that she believes that the ones that is in her area, the clan that's in her area, are a generational family.
That's correct. I think I remember her telling me something of that nature sometime back. I can't remember. I think she referred to what you just said.
Yeah.
They are generational like we are. I mean, so, if there's a male and a female traveling together, naturally they're gonna have kids.
Yeah.
They're gonna have Littlefoots, or whatever you want to call them.
Littlefoot, youngling, whatever.
Juvenile. I think juveniles are more like what we call teenagers.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like some people, I don't like the word juvenile, because juvenile is kind of like on the criminal side.
Yeah. That's what you'll usually hear, especially whenever you refer to anything. Whenever you bring up the topic juvenile, they'll usually bring up like criminal record, stuff like that, juvenile prison, stuff like that. I really don't go for the juvenile reference.
But also, I think I mentioned to you sometime in the last week or so that the topic zapping has been a topic as of late in the last 3 or 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'm not saying I was zapped, but all I know is that I started feeling nauseated. I hadn't had breakfast yet, so I can't really say there was something there that would cause me to get nauseated and sick to the point that I needed to leave.
Now, let me stop you right there. For those of you that is listening to this, the term zapping is kind of like ties into like the paranormal side of Bigfoot, where some say the Bigfoot have like a telepathy thing where they can control what you think or how you feel or etc. like that. They can make you forget whatever you're seeing or whatever and they can make you experience things that drive you away. So go ahead, Fred. No, Steve.
But anyway, I'm not going to say I was, and I'm not going to say I'm not. I'm just going to throw that out as a possibility, because I did feel some symptoms that I have heard and read about zapping.
Yeah.
On the internet. And there's a lot of people out there that I've talked to that have shared their experiences with me in the zapping area, the paranormal part of Bigfoot Sasquatch. And
Mm-hmm.
because we just hadn't had I guess what you call a Jane Goodall that lived among the apes back in her day to learn and research what they do. And I think we need somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my thoughts on if we want to get closer to Bigfoot, we need a Jane Goodall out there to kind of experience what Bigfoots do, live like, and whatnot, that can relate that information to us that would like to know.
Yeah. I'll talk about zapping. I do believe that I was sort of in a way zapped. Whenever I was doing my investigation on Wildcat Mountain, I was back up on top of the mountain there, and I was knocking on a tree with an axe handle trying to get a response out of them, and for some reason, I heard something mimic my mother's voice, and it said, "Zach," and I looked over my shoulder, and I didn't pay no attention to it, and I got back in the side by side, and I went on. But I went back the next day, and if I had followed the voice that I heard 10 yards, I would have gone straight off a 30-foot drop on a cliff and broke both my legs probably.
Right. So probably like some other similar stories I've heard, the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call him, he was giving you a warning to keep you from getting injured or killed or hurt.
I think that was one of the other clans that's in our area here that was warning me because like I told you on the phone the other day with Scarface that I've dubbed this Bigfoot that's on my property. He has not really, his clan hasn't given us much trouble. I think they're more of a docile, more passive, observant group, because whenever I saw him and I looked at him, he just looked at me and he looked more like he had observant look to him. He like tilted it. I went and I had my headlamp on, but I was looking at him straight in the eye, and I tilted my head, and he did the same to me, like he was mimicking me. And then right after I heard that, the voice, and I went farther down the mountain, and I had the light shut off, is whenever that other one hit the side by side. And I was talking to my team earlier today, and I said, and not only that, I also mentioned this to Connie. I said, the thing that I think that they have like an instinct, they can sense whenever there's some sort of danger to them. I had the 20 gauge in the cab with me, and I think the only thing that kept that thing from coming up and grabbing and pulling me out of that side by side was it knowing I had the shotgun with me in the cab.
I would believe so, because they usually, when they see somebody with a gun, a rifle particularly, or shotgun, they tend to turn around and run away.
Yeah. I think he was like warning me to stay. I think he was warning me, saying, we're letting me know, like, we're here and well, we don't want you here with that kind of firepower,
Well, that's correct. But I've heard Connie say a lot of things about she'd be out in the woods. She would come close to walking off into a steep gully, and one of her Bigfoots would throw a rock or something to get her attention, and she would back off and notice that if she would have gone a little further, she would have been in danger. So I think Bigfoots, I don't think they're aggressive out of nature. I think they get aggressive because they're provoked by something.
Mm-hmm.
I think on the most part, Bigfoots are curious about us as we are about them.
Mm-hmm.
And because, you know, in a lot of people's cases or stories that they tell, they come up while they're cooking on a grill or something, and or playing in the backyard or whatever. They come up and they kind of observe us.
Yeah.
Like we try to find them and observe them. Well, you know, they do the same thing to us.
And I do believe that they do observe and observe us, and that's where they're very observant, and that's how they go and they like learn to mimic certain things because they're so observant.
Right. But anyway, I did look up the other day of recent sightings down in Texas, and that's a hot spot. I'll just say that.
Yeah, usually it is because you got the thick brush and everything. You got such a wide area that's undeveloped in Texas. And not only that, right there where the Sabine River is, I was doing some research for the show, and it showed the Sabine River's borderline with Louisiana.
That's correct.
And Bigfoot are all throughout the southern states, and I think that they travel along the Gulf, and they like to get away from the hurricane season. They can sense when the hurricane season's getting ready to come on, and they'll like move further north so that way they are not in harm's way.
And by you doing researching that a little bit, if you didn't notice, I wasn't but about 65, 70 miles from Falk, Arkansas.
Yeah, that's what brought me to my attention. I was wondering maybe it might have been a break off from the clan that's in Falk, Arkansas.
It could be.
And if for those of you listening, if you do are curious about the Falk, Arkansas Bigfoot, look up the Legend of Boggy Creek. It was a documentary movie made back in, I believe, the 70s. That documented all this attacks of a Bigfoot that was coming into town and like harassing people and stuff like that. But I do believe that it could have been either. It could have been a Bigfoot from Arkansas, somewhere there in Texas or Louisiana, which is a broad range of several clans that could be moving through that area.
That's correct.
Of course, you was talking about being in the summer. I found in some research that Bigfoots are migratory and that they will go further north during the wintertime, and then they'll come back south. And I think he was just fishing and scouting the area out to see if it was what's the word to say? If it was good enough for him to establish a territory in that area, you know.
That's what I believe too. So being that plants were found back in March, I believe that they found substantial food supply, and even though it's just outside of Longview, they was able to establish a territory in that area and stay hidden.
Now, is the area of Longview where you're talking about, is that a highly developed area? How far does the developed area stretch?
Okay, when you get out of Longview, there's nothing but, between Longview and Kilgore, there's nothing but woods, oil derricks, which, you know, Kilgore was one of the oil capitals of America.
Mm-hmm.
So you got oil derricks all over down there and everything. So there's a lot of wooded area in the Sabine. If you notice, kind of does a lot of it looks like a snake. It's crooked.
Mm-hmm.
and south down towards where I think Bono had a post on the big ticket down south of Livingston, Texas, which is off of 259. So, which is another good place for people to look for Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there 2 or 3 times. It's thick.
Mm-hmm.
So thick you can't see so far. So, but anyway, back to mine. Like I said, there's so many old derricks and so many dirt roads, probably like they are there in Illinois.
Yeah.
And you know, back then it was covered with woods. So I don't know what it's like today. I don't know how much development they have done since 75.
Yeah.
But the hill point you said earlier about Legend of Bobby Creek, it came out in, I think, 76.
Mm-hmm.
Because it came out, like I said, I couldn't relate that to anything but the Patty Gimlin Patterson thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, flashed up on National Geographic on one channel. Well, that was the only thing I could relate for Bigfoot. And then Legend of Bog Creek came out right after that in 76, I believe.
Yeah.
Could be 75, I don't know. But laying 3 or 4 of my buddies, we went out to the drive-in that when it first came out, and we saw it, and of course, I looked at one of my brothers and I said, I saw one of them, being, popping off.
Yeah.
And of course, what buddies are, they yell right.
Yeah.
Tell me another joke, So then I just shut up and watched the movie, and but for the viewers out there, this movie was, like Zach said, was filmed with actual events that happened there in and around Falk, Arkansas. And a lot of the actors in there were actual people that had the experiences of that movie. So.
But like I say to everybody, they call me crazy and stuff like that, but I always go and say, science is discovering new things every day. All we're doing is letting it in a hand. We're going where the scientists won't go.
That's true.
But
they won't go out in the woods. We will.
Yeah. We know the lay of the land. We were raised out in these areas. We know this land like the back of our hand. We know every game trail and goat trail in the woods.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to cut it short for Steve. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Hey, thank you for inviting me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, I'll have you back on sometime, and we'll swap stories. All right.
All right. Sounds like a good deal.
All right, buddy. You take care and stay dry.
I'm gonna work on it.
Okay, buddy. You take care.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that does it for the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters team's Backwoods Investigations. Be sure to join me next week whenever I have Daniel Benoit of the East Coast Bigfoot Resource Organization in for an interview. Stay squatchy, friends. Peace out, cryptos.